Lego. We all know it. Stick a brick in the microwave, it comes out looking like this. And when you get two of them, oh, don't even get me started. Like, look at this! The possibilities are endless. But where would Lego be without their themes? You've got Lego originals like Ninjago or whatever Monkey Kid is, or you've got licensed themes like Marvel, Star Wars, or SpongeBob. Although some themes, like SpongeBob, just don't last too long and are inevitably cancelled. It's happened to many a theme, licensed and original. Bionicle being probably the biggest and most well-known of these themes that Lego old yellered. But I was never really a Bionicle kid. I got my fix of mechanical toys from Transformers. The theme that I was personally a massive fan of was Mixels. This theme only lasted a short 2 or 3 years, but God, I loved it. Little me would be ecstatic at the sight of Mixels in shops, and they were cheap too, like 10 or 15 pound each, so most of the time when one was seen in the wild, it'd end up in my little grubby hands. They weren't even too crazy, like they were just strange looking things that were in squads of 3s. There were the fire ones, the space ones, or like the booger ones. You know my ass at all 3 of them. One of the reasons I was actually really excited to make this video is because it meant I had an excuse to dig out all my old instruction books and actually rebuild all my Mixels. Building them was some task though, because a lot of the pieces have either been repurposed or they're just fucking gone. Mixels also cooked up the most revolutionary piece ever with the Mixel joint, which paved the way for so many great sets like the Marvel mechs and the Star Wars mechs. Okay, that's like random bullshit intro to the video done, but you know, quickly like and drop a comment or something. I put a lot of effort into this and it would go a long way. Now, without further ado, take a seat, get snug as a bug, and let's dive into the life of the Mixels theme. It all began in the long-forgotten ancient times of January 2014, when Mixels was first announced, and wow, that is a long time ago. Every series of Mixel sets consisted of 3 tribes, and each tribe had 3 individual Mixels. Each tribe would use the same color scheme for its 3 members to make them seem like more of a set, and to make sure they were different from other tribes. Though just because a member of the same tribe shared colors, no 2 Mixels were ever nearly the same. Mixels also had a TV show that premiered alongside the toys. It was mainly made up of shorts or like 10-minute specials. For a professional glazer like me, it's weird I'd only seen 2 episodes before making this video. The whole premise of Mixels in the show and with the toys was that they could mix. With the toys, the mixing could vary from simply swapping heads or limbs to literally mutilating 2 Mixels and using pieces from both to build a completely new and unique design. This is one of the reasons I think Mixels is such a remarkable theme, because sure, a different company could try and make Mixels, like fuck, they tried with Marvel and Transformers, but no brand could do it better than Lego, because the idea of Lego itself is for people to just let their imagination run wild and build whatever they want. So by making these characters that it's such amazing designs that people like me could fall in love with, and then telling people that these designs were simply catalysts for your own creations was a phenomenal idea. And I think it was the first and one of the only times they ever truly tapped into the fact that Lego was completely customizable in a theme. Like, the main selling point of the theme was simply the main selling point of Lego itself, which is build whatever the fuck you want. Instead of them just selling a box of random bricks as they do and telling you to let your imagination run wild, they give you the feeling of getting a Lego set, but following the instructions and playing with the set was only the start of the experience. Destroying it and building something new was the rest of it. And Lego didn't just make each Mixel and leave it at that. They'd use the show to flex their official mixes between certain Mixels, which made you want to try and build that IRL. This was quite genius, because if you didn't have one of the 2 Mixels, you would have to fork up some cash. This wasn't even the best method they had to sell Mixels though, because that hands down goes to the secret instructions you could find online to merge 3 Mixels of the same tribe into just one giant fuck off Mixel. This was so fun as a kid, like my mind was blown when I first discovered it. I low-key felt like such a little detective even though all I was doing was googling steampunk Max instructions. They were called Maxes, by the way. In the show though, they had to have some reason why they could mix with each other other than being Lego. So lore-wise, they mixed with a thing called a qubit. Qubits were specifically colored to show which 2 tribes could use each one. There were some times where a mix would fail and it would be called a merp, and this was just used for comedic effect. On a stack though, I thought the qubits looked tasty as hell as a kid. I don't know if I'm on my own on that one, but you know, we'll move on. Obviously, you can't have a show without a plot, and the plot to this shit was so bare bones and just obviously trying to sell toys. There were the Mixels, which I've already explained, and their ops, the Nixels. Their entire incentive to being evil was simply that they hated color and wanted to turn the world grey. Their leader was at first Major Nixel until later in the show they introduced King Nixel, whose design I'm actually a big fan of. Too bad he looks like this IRL. You see, certain Mixels would actually come with a Nixel as like a little bonus. I don't know if they actually had a method to choosing who came with one, but I'm assuming it's random because motherfucking Wuzzo was the set that came with King Nixel. Didn't want to flex too hard on you, but you know I have that shit. His toy looks like this because to keep it with the theme, you have to mix 8 Nixels with him to actually get his full form. And you know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but this looks like shit. The show was never anything crazy. It would be minor inconvenience that they'd solve through mixing. The Nixels would kind of just be evil, but to like no real caliber. The show, even though it was such nothing, definitely worked better to sell toys to me than any advert could have. But when I was a kid, the show wasn't what I cared about. about. The motherfucking games is where it was at, boy. Oh my god, whoever made these cooked. There were a bunch of Mixel games, but there's two that stand above the rest because they're the only two I played. And first is Calling All Mixels. This shit, from what I remember in the gameplay I watched 10 minutes ago, was actually fire as fuck. It was a top-down strategy game where you controlled 3 Mixels of your choice and you just went through missions, killing Nixels and unlocking more Mixels. Jeez, that's a lot of Ixels. The best part though was that you could scan the instructions of your actual Mixel sets and then unlock them in the game. If I'm being real, the only memory I have of this game is the first 2 or 3 levels with the fire and rock guy. Other than that, this game is a complete mystery. The other game was far simpler, but arguably funner from what I remember at least, and it was Mixels Rush. This one was so stupid. It was just a side-scroller where you'd swap in different Mixels and different mixes depending on like the obstacles and floors you would come across. It was very bare bones, but embarrassingly, I spent a lot of time when I was younger playing this. Even though Mixels was accompanied with a very fun little show and some unbelievable games, at least to my little kid brain, I don't think it was a theme that was ever really meant to last. It was far from a failure, don't get me wrong. To have 9 series of sets is phenomenal. But when you look at the later series of sets, you can kind of tell they're run out of good ideas. Not design-wise. The later designs are actually really neat, but more tribe-wise. Mixels started off with elements like fire and electric, and then slowly stretched the definition of elements with stuff like magic or space, and then they just gave up and dropped the pigs. These were cool as fuck, I can't lie. And then we had things like rubbish and steampunk and pirates. Like, all of these are pretty fucking cool, especially the steampunks. But it was still clear they were running out of ideas. Real quick side note, the Pirate Max is maybe the coolest thing to come out of this theme. The show was also a sign that it wasn't meant to last, the way Peak Jag or other shows were. With every new series of toys, they would practically kick the old characters out of the show in place of the new ones. It was very much just one big advert. Like, look at this part of this episode, like it's literally just an advert for the all-new Ninja Tribe. To be fair, any show about toys is just an advert, but things like Ninjago and Transformers have like actual effort put into their stories and characters that make people want to buy the toys. It's a show for kids, so the writing really doesn't have to be top tier stuff, and what I think of it really doesn't matter because I'm not the target audience. But the writing in Mixels is horseshit. Like, these characters are complete nothing burgers. Again, comparing it to Ninjago, which always had a somewhat cohesive or like overarching narrative that would last like 1 or multiple seasons, this show was just random XD for however long the episode happened to be, and then roll credits. Which is why I say it doesn't feel like they wanted the theme to last 10 odd years. Do I think Mixels was a failure? No, not at all. Them shit sold excellently. And for it to last even the 3-ish years that it did is unbelievable. I personally think they accomplished what they set out to do with Mixels, and rightfully ended the line when they did. If they hadn't cancelled it, the theme would have fizzled out into irrelevancy pretty soon, which would have sucked to see. I think if they came into the Mixel theme the same way they did with Ninjago, aiming to make it a long-lasting theme, it could have been so much more than what it was. But I still loved them when I was younger, and I made a lot of good memories with them, and getting to come back years later and talk about them again has actually been really fun. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and if you liked this, maybe subscribe for future videos, but honestly, don't bother with the old ones, they ain't worth it, chief.